Hello, everyone. Hi, nice to see you all again. And I'm excited today because I'm speaking to a very interesting author that I think some of you will be fascinated by because she has a particular quandary, which is that she's got books and she doesn't quite know how to publish them, where to publish them, why to publish them, and all the quagmire that goes with that. So if you are in that position yourself, listen up. And we're speaking with Rebecca Bishop today. Hi, Rebecca. Nice to see you.
Hi, Victoria. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I think that summed it up, didn't it? That you've got these lovely books and you just don't know where to go. It's a big decision, but sometimes it seems bigger and more complicated than it is. But so maybe we can unravel some of that today. So can you tell me first then, what made you decide to write? How did you come to write? And I should explain, they're children's books.
Yeah, children's picture books in rhyme, actually. So it was only last year I was at a networking meeting and I just said, I want to write some children's books to help with the well-being. And I thought, do I? And then in January, I got an idea of a book about fear and I started writing the book and I shared it with a friend and she said, yeah, it's good, but have you ever thought about doing rhyme? And I thought, okay, I'll give that a go. So I took a course, a Julia Donaldson course, to learn about rhyming and to learn about rhythm and meter. And it was really fascinating. I really, delved in and learned everything I could. And I sort of changed the book. I did quite a few rewrites on it. And then the next book, one morning, I just woke up and I just thought I'd had this like one line in my head for ages. I don't know whether as writers, you've experienced that, this one rhyming line. And it went, there was a sad seal that flooded the sea. And I'm like, what? Where am I going to go with that? Anyway, I sat down one morning, my head was really lots of thoughts and all of it just came out really quick. And obviously I needed to rework and rewrite bits of it. And then the next two books just came in exactly the same way. So I didn't really decide to be a writer. It's like it decided that I was going to write, if that makes sense. And, so I've written literally 4 books since January. I mean, it's unbelievable, really. So
Amazing.
Yeah, that's how I started.
It's quite an accomplishment to write 4 and to have that sense of flow when you're on that journey. So yeah, I think a lot of people would be quite envious, but that's interesting. So what strikes me then is that you've had a willingness to go along with this. What's happened with the illustrations? How are you managing that aspect of it?
Yeah, so again, I'm learning. So as a child, I loved to draw and I always got lots of compliments on my drawing. It was like, where did you get that gift? You must be because you're left-handed and all that. Anyway, so I picked it up and I did draw for nephews and nieces and great nephews and nieces, but nothing serious. And then I thought, well, I'll just knock a few pictures together. And at first, I'm going to redo a lot of the pictures I did at first because, as I'm learning the digital tool and everything. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm absolutely loving the drawings and that's why I need to go back. But I'm learning different styles and things. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to have a little bit of a talent, but there are ways to learn as well. But I'm completely self-taught,
Excellent. So when you were talking about style, are there any books that you like, any other books that we would know of that you like to style of?
Yeah, I absolutely love Julia Donaldson books. I mean, I think AXA is absolutely an amazing, cute illustrator. Just the attention to detail, he like puts things that are not in the story, but he puts them in. And by looking at those, I've learned so much. Not so keen on the Roald Dahl style. I find it a little bit messy, but obviously the artist is very good, just not my style. So I like cute. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Roald Dahl's probably meant for a slightly older age group. What age group are you doing as Key Stage 1 or 2?
Key Stage 1, and so really from 5 to 7, I would say.
Yeah. The 7-year-olds like a little bit of horror.
Yeah.
But I think the thing there is the language development and the way that child workers and teachers can link it to curriculum and things like that. And the verbal saying, I think the thing with rhyme, you probably agree with me, I hope, is that It's movement of the mouth, getting around language, learning new words, sounds. It's a marvelous thing for a child, and I think as adults we often forget what a wonderful thing language is for children.
Yes, yes. Some of the rhythms are beautiful, you know, and that's something I learned on the Julia Donaldson course as well, using words that go well together. So, you know, when you think of hickory dickory dock, how, that's hickory dickory dock. It's really lovely rhythm, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it's very like a clock.
yes,
I know,
yeah.
you're lovely. It's wonderful. Yeah. So you've got these lovely books, and you said the seal saves the flood.
Yeah,
And
sad seal saves the day. Yeah.
sad seal. So why is he a sad seal?
Because the books are all themed around an emotion. So obviously that's around sadness, and it's teaching children that it's okay to cry, but not to wallow in it. So it's okay to cry and let it go and release it. And it's also to give that message to parents that, saying to your children, stop crying, or putting a label on it and saying you're crying because, is teaching children that it's not okay to cry. And yet, what was one of the first emotions that we ever experienced as a baby?
Yeah.
So it's the most natural thing in the world to express emotion, and all emotion is valid, because otherwise we wouldn't be given them. But what we learn at such a young age is to shut down emotion, and then we become flat. And in my world, in my life, I should say, really, is that, at the age of 30, I just felt flat and depressed, and because I just shut down emotions so extremely. So luckily I learned a wonderful tool called NLP, and that helped me to open up my emotions and, and connect back to living again and expressing everything.
So
And,
did the NLP instigate the love of the books and perhaps the inspiration for the books, or do you think the books came first and then you've applied the NLP that you've already learned to it?
The NLP came 13 years ago. I studied NLP, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I knew I was going to write a book, but I thought it'd be a book for adults. I wasn't really sure, because but then the books just kind of came as a result of helping clients, and helping clients understand. I really realized that all of the trauma, well, not all of it, but most of the trauma came before the age of 7. So I thought, well, if most of the trauma came before the age of 7, why don't I work with children before the age of 7? And then the books came. It was a natural process. Yeah. Once I decided to do that, the books came. So that's
logical. I think also because I used to teach childcare workers and educators, teachers, and looking at my own experience having children, watching my children have children, having grandchildren, and both my children are teachers, and the youngest one works in early years. And because I've studied the childcare situation and our education system and how early years develop psychologically and emotionally, etc., I think when we're as adults reading to our children, we revisit our childhood.
Yeah.
So in a way, you are really connecting adults with their own, because we do fall back on learned behaviour as well as to how we cope with that crying child, that bored child, the sad child, etc. So, and joy, some people don't like exuberance, do they? And children are very exuberant. But I can see how you have connected with parents in a very special way there.
So in all of the books, there's always a moral at the end of how it's okay to feel like this. And then, so it's like it's okay to feel sad, and there's about talking it through, and other techniques that I've put in there that are predominantly NLP, really. So there's a lot of NLP knitted under the story. So subconsciously they're going to get it at a deeper level. It's not just it is an exciting, and it's an adventure, and it's got cute characters in it, but underneath it all is a deeper meaning. And that's the power of the books, because one thing I learned in NLP was we used to have story time at 2 o'clock in our course, and she said, everybody relax. And of course, when you tell a story, the conscious mind instantly relaxes, and the stories go directly into the subconscious, which means they go in at a really deep level. You'll know that from obviously your experience. And so it shocked me to think of the stories that we tell children, because we tell them that, we tell them, their prince will come, they'll live happily ever after. So subconsciously programmed in a lot of women are that, that they're going to live this happily ever after when they meet their man. And it gives unrealistic relationship things.
Yeah.
And there's many, many stories like that.
Mm.
There's worse ones than that, right? That are going directly into the subconscious. And they're
Mm.
hearing them. So it's repetitive as well before the age of 7, when the
Yeah.
programming is all being taken place.
And of course, it works for the boys as well, because they're
Yes.
put on a pedestal. They have to be this Prince Charming, but nobody tells them how to do it except by
they
find a
have to
shoe.
make us happy. The men's program is they have to make us happy. Well, good luck with that, because happiness is from within. So, you can see how our relationships go a little bit astray as well. But that's taken me on to another leg of my my
Well,
work.
me being the person I am, I'm immediately thinking, well, this is where you go segue into your adult book. Your experience of writing and formulating and understanding and working with these children, because I understand you're into going into venues to read the stories to children, and I love it when authors do this with children, and to get the feedback, yes, but also you're getting feedback for another book for adults.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's gone into the one of the schools already. It's been read to a reception class. The Scaredy Bear, A Courageous Tale was read, and that was well received. And obviously I'd mocked up some pictures, so they got some pictures as well. But I'm offering some free sessions at the moment for schools, and I've got some ideas of activities and games as well.
So which emotions do you cover?
So I've got 16 emotions that I've created. So I've got, can't remember them all offhand, but I've got, of course, anger, sadness, fear, boredom, disgust, which is an interesting one. And then, of course, I've got things like happy, calm, excited is another one. Love, of course, which is one of my great niece's favourites.
Because the other thing is that there's a copyright issue here. I can imagine a lot of people watching this now are thinking, oh, I'm not going to let anybody read my things before they're published, or I'm not letting anybody have any of my images before anything goes ahead. So how are you in your world addressing copyright issues?
So I have copyrighted everything, but how do you balance? You've got to share things to promote them, haven't you? So you've got to share some pictures. So I am sharing copywriting, putting copyright on them, and maybe I could improve a little bit on that. I'm just thinking about a recent Facebook post, but not giving out the whole story, but maybe little snippets of it with the picture to get interest, because how else do you do it otherwise? Oh, yeah.
Well, I would suggest you get published. But the only reason I bring it up as well for the audience too is because I had a very bad experience with a children's book way back in the mid-80s, where a publisher, a well-known publisher, took my drawings and the person's book and transformed it and took it very, very quickly. And it was TV cartoon. It was merchandised prolifically with mugs and things, and eventually, because they didn't change the name, there was a copyright on the name, and they closed it down. But there was no way that I could afford to fight them, or my friend, we could not afford to tackle this big company. So I am very wary of copyright. I'm not suggesting that the local school and nursery will do anything like that. A lot of prevents a lot of writers from sharing their work. If you've written a big novel, or you've written a large self-help book or something, then you can give snippets away. But quite often with a story, they're quite short, aren't they?
So, they are.
Yeah.
It's showing interest, isn't it? So how do you promote if you don't? I don't know.
Well, let's talk about publishing then.
Yes.
So what's your next step? What questions do you have about publishing? What's stopping you from taking this to several publishers now?
Well, I have sent Sad Seal Saves the Day out. I haven't sent the other 3 out. Well, one of them is only just been written. So George the Jealous Giraffe is the one that's just come through. That's that's only got like sketches at the moment, no pictures. And then we've got Wilma the Worried Worm that has the best pictures, because that's my last one before that. And then Scaredy Bear, A Courageous Tale, and then Sad Seal Saves the Day. I sent to some publishers and I got a really, really good response back. But they're all, am I using the right word? Vanity publishing?
Oh,
Is
right,
that
yes.
right?
Vanity
Yeah.
publishers, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I'm not so keen on going for that. I did have a really, really good call with a publisher last week, and it was to help me self-publish, but again, so expensive. And so I'm weighing up the costs at the moment. I'm looking at software so that I can perhaps design the book myself. Have a go at least. I'm going to have a go at designing it myself, with the layout and everything. So I'm looking at software for that. So I'm just at that stage really where I'm just looking at what needs to be done and whether to go down the self-publishing route. I've also got a potential call with somebody who is a friend of mine's agent who just happens to be a publisher. How good is that? So I'm waiting to hear back from them. That was strange how that came about. So who knows? So I'm just in that process at the moment.
Wonderful. Yeah,
So,
it's exciting, but that's how you get your book promoted and how you get your book out there. I'm not against working. I think to get feedback and have beta readers, etc., and that is always risky, but you work and you have faith and you trust, and most people are genuine. So publishing is your next step. So if you've got the same kind of questions and you're wondering how to get published, who to go to, etc., it is a bit of a journey, and you do benefit from having sounding boards and to having experienced people give you their experience and their understanding of things. And yes, please don't part with any money until you have to. I can honestly say that I've had two different people over different times. Recently, somebody asked me to send me my manuscript to them. And I said, I don't know who you are. I've never met you. You've come to me on the internet and you want me to send my manuscript to me. And they reported back saying, well, we obviously don't have the right values here, and I do not wish to work with you. And I said, no, I don't wish to work with you either. So you have to be careful, because who was that? And what are they going to do? And the other one wanted lots of money. He did have some books published and gave me a load of spiels. But when I looked into it, because he put pressure on me to make the initial deposit on his time retainer. And when I looked at his books, most of them were not completed in their publishing. They were horrible, nothing to do with what I wanted to write about. So, please don't approach me. But when I've looked at publishers, I've gone through people who are already published with them that I know. And I think that's the value of groups and writers' societies, etc. So do you belong to any writing societies or
no, not really. And that's a really good idea. And it's something I've looked into. Like I say, I'm only, what am I? Not even I'm 7 months into the journey. I can't believe how much I've accomplished already.
I know,
it's
something
amazing. I would like to do, because I think it's so important to connect to people. I am learning. I am connected to some groups on Facebook where I'm learning about, what's the word? I can't think. Like some of the really bad publishing companies. But I get a gut feeling, and I think, oh no, I don't want to go with you, and and that sort of thing. But
the value of meeting other writers in person, in networks, etc., where that there's the guilds and that meet, is that you get a plethora of different experience. Plus, also they give you the opportunity to go and speak about your book, or they'll be to read it for you, and all these things in the future. And when you're writing your adult books, they're obviously very helpful. So I can't wait to see these books. I'm sure we can't share it now. We need them published, and so we have an audience here that are now going to be waiting. So I'd love you to come back and talk to us once you've chosen your publisher, and how have you got it out there, and if you can get it out or something out in time for Christmas, that would be great.
That's my aim.
Happy to promote them. We'll promote them for you.
Oh, thank you. I think it'll be Wilma the Worried Worm. I think that's the first one. exciting. Oh.
Well, yes. I'm always excited when people are writing because the creative impulse is so strong. And I think there's a lot of value in what you're doing. And I do think people underestimate the value of early years books and primary school books. It's so formative. I mean, we can all remember books from that time, can't we?
Yes, we can. Yes, definitely.
And what would your favourite book from your childhood be?
Well, I mean, it's a bit older than my books, but I like The Borrowers. I love that book. And I also liked, which was a younger book, the Gingerbread Man. Do you remember those? They were ladybug books, and there was the porridge pot as well. So I love those. They were great. Just trying to think of some others that I loved. Stick of the Dump. I love that. That was a children's series as well, wasn't it? I did. I loved books. And there was Millie Molly Mandy. Did she have the little town, I think, at the front of the book where you could? I love that one.
Little curly hair.
Yeah.
It's funny because I used that name yesterday. It's a sign. I used the name Millie Molly Mandy when I was writing to someone yesterday. So that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I hope everybody's busy at home thinking about the value of their childhood reading. And if you have any Christmas presents, let's hope so Rebecca can get something published very soon for us. And if not, we do want to hear about your further experiences and how you get on. And if you have any questions from today's interview, then please do get in touch with me, or you can find Rebecca's information all in the comments and in the description of the video here. So Rebecca, how can people get in touch with you if they would like to talk to you?
Yes, well, my email address is rebecca@rebeccabishop.org.uk. Bit of a mouthful, that wasn't it?
Is that double P or one P?
It's Bishop. It's spelled like as in Bishop, so with one P. And Rebecca is REBECCA, because that's spelled several ways as well. I've also got a website called energywaves.co.uk, which the first page is more about my Attracting Love program, because I deal with adults around, mainly women around love, but there is a link through to the Energy Waves for Kids page as well, where you can learn more about the free school opportunities, as well as lots of other things too. So that was energywaves.co.uk.
Yeah, lovely. I'll put them in the description and the comments. And also, people falling in love make babies who then go to school.
That's true, actually.
You have to buy all these books. And I think people still do. Well, people still do buy books, don't they? Especially in this country. We do love our picture books as well. So good luck with your illustrations. Can't wait to see them. Thank you so much then, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thanks, Victoria. Thanks for your time.